societies or guilds were amongst the earliest forms of organized business in India, an economic coming together of traders or skilled professionals, often family or community based. Until the East India Company brought to India the concept of a modern corporation, a chartered company issuing stock, paying dividends, and multinational in presence. Devdutt Patnaik, welcome to the first episode on this series. I'm going to start by quoting from a well-known management thinker whose seminal work was The Fifth Discipline. He talks about learning organizations and organizational development, and in reference to India and China, he said, my intuition is they will move somewhat together, but in very distinctive ways. But I think the thing that will be really common to both of them will be the fact that they won't be able to do this without reconnecting to their heritage. They will have to develop a confidence that they can do this as Indians and they can do this as Chinese. They have learned a lot from the West, but they don't have to copy. They cannot create a Chinese or Indian version of a Western model. The Western model itself is basically bankrupt. It does not give enough attention to the human side of development. If the concept of corporations was borrowed from the West, is there an Indian way of doing business?
Yes, there is. To understand this, we have to understand the Indian context. And to understand what is the Indian context, we have to hear a story. And the story is of a long time ago when Alexander came to India. And he was the first European, one can say, who came to India. He came to the banks of the Indus. And he met there a very strange man called a gymnosophist. He called it a gymnosophist because this man was naked and he seemed to be wise and everybody respected him. So Alexander asked the gymnosophist, because he was doing nothing, he was sitting over there staring at the stars. He says, what are you doing? And the gymnosophist said, I'm experiencing nothingness. And then the gymnosophist asked Alexander, what are you doing? Alexander said, I'm conquering the world. And they both laughed. Each one thought the other was a fool. Alexander felt that it's a waste of a life to do nothing. And the gymnosophist thought it's a waste of a life to do anything. Where from came these differences? If you understand these differences, we'll understand the difference between the Indian mindset and the Western mindset.
Okay.
You see, Alexander was told all his life that when you die, there is a river that you have to cross. It was called the Styx. And when you go to the other side, you'll be asked a question, have you done anything extraordinary in your life? And if you've done something extraordinary or spectacular, you will go to the place that the French call Champs-Élysées or Elysium, which is reserved for heroes. Otherwise, you have to go to the asphodel fields, which is meant for commoners. And so Alexander was told always to do something spectacular. And he was told stories of heroes like Hercules and Theseus and the epics like Iliad and Odyssey. This is what he was told. But this is not the story that the gymnosophist heard. You see, the gymnosophist heard a different story. He was also told of a river which separates the land of the living from the land of the dead. But you see, don't you make the journey once. You make the journey to and fro endlessly.
That's what the gymnosophist was told.
Which means you're living again and again and again and again. It's not one time. You have many chances. So now this changes perspective. Imagine one person who's told you live only once. His life is full of sense of urgency. He wants to do everything in this one life because that's the only life he has got. The denominator of Alexander's life was one. Now look at the gymnosophist. He can live many, many times. Not only does he live many, many times, he can live the same life again and again because it's cyclical. What goes around comes around. So the denominator of the gymnosophist's life is infinity. So the value of his life, no matter what he did, was zero. The value of Alexander's life was the sum total of his achievements. So the focus of Greek narratives has been achievement. The gymnosophist, the focus is, so if nothing is of value, then what's the point of his life? Introspect. Figure it out. Figure it out. So you do many things. You have to do many things in life, but the point is not the doing. The point is figuring out why are you doing what you are doing. So the two paradigms are different. Therefore, the Indian way of doing business was not about doing business, but using the act of doing business to figure out Why are you doing what you're doing? Question it. And in that, there is growth, intellectual growth and emotional growth.
I understand this is our conditioning, and that's why, and in the context of this, you're explaining what the Indian way of doing business could potentially be.
Yes.
My only issue with this is that this is so much more achievement focused. It comes with a sense of urgency, both qualities that are imperative in the world of business.
Yes.
You've got to achieve, you've got to do it fast. Is the Indian way of doing things, living life, the infinity, best suited to the notion or the concept of profitable businesses as we know them today?
You see, when we use the word profitable business, who says it's a good thing? Humans say it is a good thing.
No, profits are a good thing because they allow you to think of ideas, make something constructive of them, earn of them, not just for yourself, but to be able to share the wealth, run an organization efficiently. So profit is not a bad thing.
How much profit? Give me the perfect number. That's where the problem is, isn't it? It's not about profit. Everybody understands profit. But how much profit? How do we know it is not motivated by greed? And is greed okay? If you're saying greed is okay, then of course it's a moot point, then we don't discuss it. Then the question comes, no, greed is not okay, but what is need in greed? Now that's a conversation. Let's figure out the conversation. And that's where introspection comes in. Why do I want to grow is an important question. We can delude ourselves with politically correct answers that we're doing to generate wealth, but what's the actual reason? What's the real belief? Maybe it's self-aggrandizement. I don't want to be a head of a 100 crore store. I want to be a 100 crore company. I want to be a leader of a 10,000 crore company. Then I feel good about myself. So then the purpose of business is not to generate wealth for the community. It is to feel good about myself. And that's a problem.